Hello, friends. It's Chapo.
I would like to I think in the back half I would love to get into the think tank worms and media worms who are now on Operation Dump Toxic Trump.
Yeah,
On
okay.
Operation Dump
This is
Trump.
very
We'll get it.
fascinating.
We'll get into that. I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Oh,
but I
yeah.
want to point out one of my favorite spin jobs I saw today. It was Ronna McDaniel Romney, soon to be outgoing chair of the RNC, and she said, "Did you know that 14 out of 15 incumbent Republican governors kept their seats? That means people loved the job they were doing." It's a midterm, dummy. What the fuck? Oh my god.
I like the Trump aspect here is fascinating, and there's a lot to talk about there. But before I get to that, I want to take away from I want to just talk about the one more big takeaway from this midterm election as far as I see it. And this is one in which I had real doubts about this. And the big story, in my opinion, from this election is that guess what? The right to reproductive health care and an abortion is way more important to voters than fucking inflation is.
Well, it's the only thing anyone's talking about or could do anything about. Does anyone actually have a plan for inflation? No, you let the Fed bang on the button until something breaks. That's all you can do, no matter either party. No, you can just say vaguely, we're going to fight with Brandon's inflation, but there's nothing. They barely even put anything behind that. It's just inflation. All they really care about is showing you this picture on their phone of somebody in a dress going into a woman's bathroom.
That their only plan on inflation was yelling inflation.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the other thing is I guess if you're a liberal or a blue state person or on the left, I think you've been conditioned by the news and American elections to think that the Democrats always are on the defense of a culture war, and a culture war election favors Republicans because they can just slop out this red meat to their base and sort of scare people and things like that. And look, we've been talking for a while about how culture war is the only politics left in this country because it's the only terrain of debate in which things can actually happen, like politics. And I'm not saying the right to an abortion isn't politics, but if this is the case now going forward, and all elections will be defined on culture war issues, then Republicans, this is not going to go well for them going forward into the future. At least not what I see, because they've gotten too fucking weird, and the country has gotten more normal, or the country's getting less normal. But
there's still normies. There has to, by definition, be a normie center that you're reacting to. Politics is all a politics that's not founded in material conditions because it's mostly being carried out by people who feel like the economic order benefits them, and then their politics is a projection of that. That's who actually is making decisions about what political opinions to have.
Well, the real issue, the real war, is the war of the two kings. Will LeBrick Ron Santis, L. Ron DeSantis, him versus Toxic Trump, one of the Bitmoji Avi given names from the Republican side I saw given to our former president last night. The Civil War brewing. Every GOP media worm and think tank operative and bowtied cuck and otherwise Howley Cotton intellectual national conservatism fan, they are now fully out against Trump. New York Post, other Murdoch operations, calling this Trump's failure. This midterm was Trump's fuck up. This is going to be very interesting. One, primarily, that they think that their issues begin and end with Trump.
Yeah.
Because I that would not be my takeaway if, I were them. That's what you say to avoid going, us getting our desired outcome from our 30-year war against, or 40-year war against Roe v. Wade, getting what we wanted fucked us. Our policies are deeply unpopular. That's avoiding thinking about that. But also, the fact that they think it will be this easy, that they're just going to write some fucking articles and he'll be done. And even if DeSantis won the primary somehow, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Why would he not run as a third-party candidate? What is going to stop him?
And
oh no, we can't let the Democrat win. Good, then he would have stopped you from winning, and that would have been more important to him at that point.
And here's the thing, these election results, Trump's status as a GOP kingmaker or as the guiding direction of the party was damaged by last night for sure, because his, other than Kari Lake, most of the Trump candidates lost, and they've been looking for a way out of him for a while, but there's been Felix, you're so right. There's been so much wish casting I've seen over the last 2 days from mostly Republican-aligned media voices that are just assuming now that it's a foregone conclusion that like we're cutting ties with Trump. He's over. It's done. I'm sorry. Do you think he's going to make it that easy for you? Do you think it's really going to be that easy to say Trump's over? We're done with him. It's the Santis now. Do you think he's gonna? You think he's not gonna spend like every minute of the next 2 years thinking about how to fuck Ron DeSantis?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, every issue you guys have besides like abortion is about him. It isn't just related to him, it's about him. He made every issue about him, and that's all the issues that your base cares about. What, election integrity? That's about him. Mm-hmm. Immigration? That's about him. The managerial state, the deep state, that's about how they were mean to him.
Mm-hmm.
They're all about him. That is what the base cares about. Mm-hmm. You spent so much time in like the Masonic Lodge underneath the fucking foggy bottom Barnes and Noble that you forgot that.
And that means if DeSantis gets the nomination, he will come to the American people as even weirder and less normal than Trump and more repellent because he won't even have Trump's charisma that comes from being a celebrity. Just a pure political machine. He's a fucking Chuck E. Cheese animatronic of all the most alienating culture war hysteria that people have proven they don't like.
And Matt, to that point though, like the whole, like I've seen like we in our Florida show we like did it. We read an article of a profile of him. This idea that he's the smart, disciplined Trump. Those qualities, even if you want to like assume that they're true, that he's smart and disciplined, are what make him not Trump. Those two things cut against each other. They're like
exactly.
These are not strengths if he is trying to be the next Trump.
Okay, so he's Trump, but with no bullshit drama, not funny, not charismatic, doesn't say any memorable things.
Yep.
They said Trump without drama. Trump is the drama. That's why they like him, the drama.
And that's exactly
he
what
made
makes
it
him
exciting.
Alienating to normal people because the whole thing is now wrapped up in a rejection and a critique of normality as such. And congratulations, most people are still normal. And the thing is, that's not like that's a great thing. That's not great news. We're fucked because of that. Because that leftist critique of like people don't know their own best interest is basically true because they have to live in the veil of culture that we're all stuck in. So like they don't really know what's wrong. So when you're hysterical for the right reasons, hey, climate change, hey, immiseration of the global population and the death of the ecosystem. It's like, hey, man, it doesn't seem that bad to me. And that's just a normal response. But that also means when you're like, hey, baby, gender sickos are coming to chop your kid's dick off. They're similarly like, that doesn't seem like it's true. And then that keeps us ignoring the real crises that are piling up, and mean that when we do deal with them, it's going to be under more traumatic conditions. But for now, it means that the road to based America is just not viable. It's not happening that way. And that's why these guys are now saying, let's do a coup. And it's like, fine, you want to dissolve the people and elect a new one, go for it. But you're going to need more than memes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, what the fuck? Is Josh Hammer going to build up a corps of supporters in the officer corps?
Yeah.
Is that going to happen? If there is a coup by someone who's like, a major in the army now, the chances are more that it's like an occupied Democrats imperium. That's more likely than what they're hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, who was the Joint Chiefs of Staff when like the shit was hitting the fan in 2020 and there was question of like, what will the military do? It was weeping Mike Miley, the soyest cuck who's ever lived, shitting his pants about, oh my God, we must save democracy. That's not who we are. Those are the kind of dorks who rise to the top of a professional managerial chain like the fucking Pentagon.
And like as long as we're talking about the Occupy Democrats, resistance libs types, I got to hand it to them. As much as we made fun of them, their strategy of promoting election-denying Trump candidates and Republican primaries all paid off.
Lost to the man. All of them lost. Wow.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And like I thought there was a disaster with this. But
you know how much work it would mean if we actually had to do something about like election integrity and we had to like just get rid of our wonderful system we have of just voting every 2 years and watching television. Do you know how much work that would be? People don't want to they don't want that job. They already have a job. No, thank you. Let's let the politicians do politics. I don't want to do fucking politics because that's what you're asking when you say we're going to wipe away like the system. That means like that's the fascist call to like a militant people in arms, and that's not us. We want to watch it on TV.
Did you see what Brandon said? Brandon said people don't want to see drama every day on TV.
It's true.
I mean, that's kind of why he won.
It's true. It's like that denial we talked about last time about how there's no like liberal answer to like the real sense of crisis that a lot of young people have. Like this is the flip side of that. It's like by acknowledging that, the people who are like most traumatized, basically, most in demand of real answers, the miserable young unmarriageable men who make up like the people who are like most fucked, at least perceive themselves to be most fucked by society. They're going to be drawn to an answer. But at the same time, you're pushing away people who don't really need an answer because America still makes sense to them. And that's people with mortgages, and that's who vote.
That the former president will not return, or that his political movement, which is still very strong, will not once again take power in the United States.